Welcome to Optimal Timelines. I am your guide, Sean, in helping you to connect to your most optimal future timeline. So it's that time again. It's time for our monthly Tarotscope readings for June 2022 for the North Nodes by sign and house. Now, if you're unfamiliar with your North Node, there's going to be a link in the description box below where you can get some more information. And again, the reason I use your North Node by sign and house as opposed to your sun, moon, or ascendant sign is it's recognized in astrology that your North Node is your North Star. It's the path that you should be moving towards and learning in this lifetime. So let's get started on the readings. This is going to be your monthly Tarotscope readings for June 2022 for everybody with their North Node in Cancer and or the 4th house. And while I'm shuffling and connecting to the energies, I want to invite you to just relax, take some deep breaths, close your eyes if you're able to, and just open up to the reading and to any information that's going to be most relevant to you. So I'm going to connect to the energies and we can begin. I call upon my spirit guides and guardians and the wisdom of my ancestors to bring forth the information that's true and correct for all who see this reading, that it may bring them the most beautiful, happy life possible and set them on their most optimal future timeline. So may it be. Okay, North Node in Cancer and or the 4th house. Okay, so the spread on this side of the table represents the first half of the month from the 1st to the 15th, and this side represents the 16th of the month to the end of the month. I did a book divination again for all of the North Nodes with the great book Astrology of the Soul from Jan Spiller. And something really interesting came up for you North Nodes in Cancer was becoming comfortable with sensitivities, becoming ultra sensitive. And when I did the divination, what popped up when I came up, it said becoming comfortable with sensitivity. It came up the idea of, you've probably seen this in movies, like we all have, where a person gets a superpower of like hearing, and all of a sudden, they're able to hear everything, like what people are saying, or someone gets the ability to hear people, what they're thinking, And so, usually we've seen this in countless movies, okay? And it'll drive them crazy. They're like, just, shut off the voices, in my head, because they have this ability now, this superpower to hear everything or to read people's minds, We've seen it again, like in that Jim Carrey movie, Bruce Almighty, where he is hearing, he has the ability to hear everything that people are thinking. And so it's kind of the same thing where when you have a North Node in Cancer or the 4th house, what you're learning to do is develop the superpower that actually is already in you, but it's unused and untapped, is the ability to be empathic or sensitive on a very high level. And it's not easy, because when you become sensitive, like when someone says, oh, my tooth is sensitive or my skin is sensitive, it means that any little thing feels uncomfortable, or, you know, it doesn't feel good. It's very intense. It's the same thing with developing sensitivity, because it's like a flooding of things that are coming in. So what's happening this month, and this is something like for your whole life, is the ability to become comfortable with being sensitive. And because it's much more easy, with your South Node in Capricorn, okay, there's a time for toughness. There's a time for boundaries. There's a time for becoming insensitive, which it has its place, okay? And it's easier in a lot of ways because, you know, you're not being flooded with, emotions. You're not being flooded because you're not really tuned into those sensitivities. So it's easier in a lot of ways. And so that's what you're learning this month. And one of the things that happens when we have a North Node in Cancer, or the fourth house, is because of those South Node tendencies, we could actually live a life without knowing that we limit our sensitivities, without even knowing it, okay? Where we are limiting as a form of protection, almost like building up like a shell around us. But what ends up happening is that the more that we become insensitive, and not even in a negative way, like not being an insensitive person, but the more we protect ourselves from sensitivities, the less the sensations are coming to us, like with our heart and emotions and, the beauty of life. So we're kind of limiting the spectrum of emotions and sensitivities. Now, the first half of the month, how that's going to play out is, I feel like there's going to be an opportunity where you are given to help someone in some way. And the task for you is, if you've developed enough sensitivity, picking up on it and also acting on it, okay? And part of sensitivity is becoming, empathetic to people, okay? And when you recognize that, so someone is going to need your help in some way, but it might not be obvious. Like, it could be obvious. I mean, they're not going to come up to you, I don't think, and just say like, guess what? I need help. It's going to be like your sensitivities are going to have to pick up on it. You're going to have to read between the lines. You're going to have to deduce that they need this help, okay, in some way. And that could be, how are you going to help them? It could be by a kind word, saying something positive, physically helping them in some way. It could be, financial. It could, in different ways of supporting. It's going to play out different for each of you. But this is going to be the task, is, remember, this first half of the month, becoming sensitive to others. Yeah. And so, it brings up an interesting thing. I was working with someone a couple of years ago that had this North Node, and this person couldn't understand why another person was upset with them because this person that was upset with them was trying to share a need with them, but not coming out and saying it. It was like, kind of like in a roundabout way, saying that there was a need in their life. And this person, who I'm talking about, who didn't recognize, wasn't sensitive enough to recognize what this person was trying to, infer, or what they were trying to convey to them, not because they were uncaring, because they didn't have the sensitivity skills to pick up on it. And this person that I'm talking about, who I was working with, totally had the ability to help this other person without a problem, but they didn't see they didn't see the need that this person had, because they didn't develop their sensitivity skills, which in turn they didn't develop their empathic skills. Okay. And they couldn't understand why this other person was upset, because you know they didn't pick up on their need. Okay. And I try to help them through that. That's what we're talking about here. Okay. That's what we're talking about. And what I feel like this situation, the first half of the month, the person could be someone from your past. They could be related to you in some way. Okay. Um, and it could be like a sibling, as I said, either like a family member, but someone close to you, and even someone at work, just someone in your life. There's going to be this need, and it's going to be up to you to open up those sensitivities to see that and help them in some way. And it could just be excuse me, like a kind word, like I said, or just, sometimes it's huge when we are just have empathy and we feel for others and say, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. But it's not obvious a lot of times, and so the developing the sensitivities for you in this life is not easy, because at first it could seem like an overload, like, just like I said, like in those movies where everything's flooding them at once. You're having all these sensitivities. When you open up that gate of sensitivities, yes, you've got to set boundaries, Capricorn South Node, okay? And you've got to develop, some sort of an outer boundary. But the problem with the outer boundary is it could become a fortress. And that's what happens with a lot of times, with this North Node, is people build fortresses around themselves unintentionally. A lot of times, most of the time it's unintentional, and that those big thick walls, okay, of the fortress don't really allow themselves to open up to other sensitivity and being empathic. Okay, so first half of the month, look for opportunities to put out your feelers. Okay, develop sensitivities, recognize that, and be able to help them in some way, whatever that is. That's going to benefit you. Like, this is a huge test, okay? When you can develop these and you are able to do just on a small scale, even being able to recognize, to recognize that you have empathy and can feel, is a huge win for you. Okay, huge win. Okay. Now, second half of the month, what is going to happen is this is actually going to require you, on the opposite end of the spectrum, to open up your sensitivity. But in this case, what you're doing is you are setting boundaries. So you're using your South Node skills of Capricorn, and you're supposed to set boundaries with someone in your life. And that's also part of this. So being sensitive, yes, it's developing empathy, but it's also being sensitive to a situation where this, what, like what the universe wants you to learn is the other part of this superpower is being able to read people and read situations. See? So being sensitive is not always like the warm, fuzzy bunny rabbit, like helping people, but it's being sensitive of like, even like people that have intuitive skills, it's like being able to recognize something. And so in this case, in this second half of the month, I feel like there is going to be a chance for you to set boundaries in some way. And the funny thing that's happening too is that this is making you, it's like completing your skill set. That's what I'm really getting for you. It's like this last little piece of the puzzle is I see you having a lot of skills in a lot of different areas, but this last skill set of learning superpower empathy, superpower sensitivity is like completing it. And you'll see in a practical way when you're sensitive. Like, for example, you've seen this a lot of times too. Like, someone walks into a room or a situation, and they're like immediately like, "Okay, you know what? I don't like this. This does not feel right. It does not look good. I'm leaving, or we're leaving." Okay, that's sensitivity. That's reading, being able to see things that are going on around you, feel things, and you're able to act on it. That's again setting boundaries. So I feel like there's going to be something in this second half of the month that is going to work like that, where your sensitivities, if you're open to it, is going to lead you in a good direction. And I think, like, the possibility is when you do this, it's like a completion of your skills. It's almost like, I feel like you're earning one of your last badges. You're getting your scout badge. Okay, you're getting your scout badge in sensitivity, and it's going to really pay off. Like, this is a huge test. Now, the other benefit of this is, on these practical levels, is when you open up these sensitivities, your life becomes richer and more meaningful. The trick is being able to be comfortable with those sensitivities. That is the whole trick. Because at first, when you're playing around with them and you're opening yourself up, it can be like a flooding of things. So that's what you have to play with, is, being able to regulate how much you're letting in. But if you don't let in any and you build that fortress around you, yes, are you protected? You're safe in your fortress, but it's a lonely place, okay? And so this is a skill that you're going to want to develop. And I feel like this is, like, again, something to where you're transforming. When you get this aspect down, it's going to open up huge opportunities in your life, in all aspects of your life, okay? It's going to open things up. So really think about that, about that skill, because it's huge and it's practical on so many different levels. So anyway, I hope this reading was helpful to you and you found some value in it. Thank you so much for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing, and spending some time. If you'd like a personal reading, there's going to be a link in the description box below. Would love to hear from you. And, shoot a comment, hit the like button, would appreciate it. Would love to interact with you on the comments. So again, thanks so much, and we'll see you on some more videos. Many blessings.